And welcome. How is the sound? Should be great. We're going to talk about Cambodia today, and I will give you some like border updates, but I want the main idea of the video just to be about living in Cambodia, what it's like. If you have any questions, make sure you put them in the chat. If you're watching on replay, go ahead and put them in the comments if you have questions, and I'll answer them. So yeah, what is it like in general? Well, I'll tell you one thing. When I first moved here, a lot of times the mindset is that like you're far away from home, right? Whatever country you came from, you're someplace else. But that was like, I don't know, maybe when I first visited, I felt like that. But when I wanted to move here is because it doesn't feel like you're away. It feels like you're home, because you exist where you are, right? So if I'm in America, then that's where I'm existing. But if I'm in Cambodia, that's where I'm existing. So I'm not away, I'm where I am, right? In the present. And so when you have that kind of mindset, it's a lot easier to adjust, I think. And maybe one of the things I can do tonight is tell you some of the stories from when I first moved here and what it was like then compared to now. Of course, everything was like so fresh and so new, and you had to figure things out, which is great for the brain. You're not just doing the same rat race over and over. You're just surrounded by everything being new and different, and so it's almost like you're exploring life, and I suppose that could be true if you move anywhere that's different from where you grew up. Even like within the United States, if I grew up in California, I did spend my summers in Georgia. So those two different states have very different cultures. We all speak English, but there's different accents. There's different things that are normal, right? Like I remember in school learning about George Washington Carver and his work with peanuts. And maybe we were learning about that because the president at the time was President Carter, and he was a peanut farmer from Georgia, right? And so peanuts were on the mind. But peanuts grow in the ground because they're not actually a nut. We've named them peanuts, but they're actually a legume, which is like a bean. And so they grow in the ground. But I got it in my head that nuts grow in the ground. So here I was in high school, and I went back to Georgia for my senior year in high school. And one of the kids, we're on the bus to school, which was exciting because growing up in California, I never rode a school bus. So that's another cultural thing that was new, right? But one of the kids said that he had gone to his uncle's house or whatever, and they were picking, well, because his hands were all black, right? Well, how did your hands get stained? Well, I went to my uncle's to get, to pick pecans, or they might have said pecans or pecans. But I always call them pecans, so I'm just going to say pecans. And I said, oh, no, you guys are trying to trick me, because they like to try and trick me. I said, oh, you guys are trying to trick me again, because nuts grow in the ground. They don't grow on trees. And they're just like loving it, all right, because they know that they really do grow on trees. And I really, I didn't know that. At 17 years old, I thought all nuts grew in the ground. So that was interesting. And so you have a lot of moments like that when you move to a new country. And so here in Cambodia, everything is new. You're learning everything for the first time. You don't understand necessarily how things work in the culture. And then everywhere you look, for example, you have motorcycles with 5 or 6 or 7 people. Literally 7 people I've seen on a motorcycle. Maybe more common 3 or 4, but and it's like in the United States, no, that's not going to happen. You had a lot of street vendors. You still do, but you had even more back then because there weren't as many cars. So you had a lot of people that were just walking and pushing a cart, or they'd have like a little sidecar hooked up to their motorcycle, and just selling barbecued. Well, they have like these barbecued eggs, right? So I think that they must like punch a hole in the egg and like shake everything out, and then like mix it with ingredients, and then pour it back in the egg, and then they put a stick through it. And I don't know exactly how they make, but when you buy it, and maybe the fact that they're on a barbecue is just to keep them warm. Maybe they boil them somehow first, and then they put them on the stick and then put them on the grill just to keep them warm as they're selling them. I don't know. I should look into that and find out how those are made. And then people selling coconuts to drink, people selling sugarcane to drink, people selling like small little clams, which I think they call cockle shells sometimes, but they're like little mini clams that they've boiled and they've spiced up with different seasonings. Here's baby. Oh, baby, you need to like leave me alone for an hour. So yeah, I can tell some stories, but let me update you on what's going on with the border between Cambodia and Thailand, and get that out of the way. And so we've had the ceasefire agreement. The 18 soldiers were released. I think I covered all that last week. And so the ceasefire is holding. In fact, I have to say I saw something in the news today that I was rather impressed with for Thailand. And that was along the border. I guess there was some clearance going on. Cambodian soldiers were doing some clearance of unexploded ordnances or just rubble and everything, and something exploded. All right. And I guess there were some Thai soldiers nearby. They got maybe injured by some shrapnel or something. I don't know. I'm not clear on that part. And I think 2 Cambodian soldiers were injured. And so right when it happened, the Thai news was like, oh, Cambodia shot a mortar into Thailand and blah, blah, blah. But then they came out, and Cambodia is saying, no, we did not fire anything. And previously, if there was some kind of incident, whether stepping on a landmine or whatever, it's like, okay, ceasefire's done, we're attacking, would be Thailand's response, right? But no, they're actually like, okay, let's get some diplomatic channels open. Let's talk about this. Let's find out what happened, and and deal with it. So I'll give credit where it's due. That was a good thing. So we can see that things are getting better diplomatically anyway. But on the ground, what's happening on the ground? I've got some things to show you, because over the last few days and since the ceasefire, Thailand has been, they have been showing videos of their soldiers. I don't know if they have body cams on or if they're just using their cell phone to record video, but they think, yeah, it's great. It's great. You know, so that's good. And, but so these soldiers, they've occupied some Cambodian cities that are along the border. All right. They actually moved shipping containers, like one and then stacking one on top of it, and making a wall where they say the border should be. All right. Which is in areas that have not been delineated. Okay. Remember, it's the size of a football field from one where the border area is like the size of a football field, 100 yards, at least in some portions. And they're supposed to, Cambodia and Thailand are supposed to get together with joint border committees and say, okay, for this part, we're going to we'll put the border near Thailand. And then on this side, and then for this section, we're going to put it closer to the, Cambodia side or whatever, and actually delineate where the border markers will be placed. Most of the the border between Thailand and Cambodia has been delineated. But there's only some small sections that haven't been, right? And so they put up these containers to make a wall to prevent Cambodians to get back to their houses, okay? So Cambodians had been living for years either inside or near the non-delineated areas, right? Now, quite frankly, just as looking at a bird's eye view, if it's inside the non-delineated or areas, nobody should be building anything until it's delineated. All right. Thais shouldn't be building houses. Cambodians shouldn't be building houses. So I'm not sure exactly where these containers are being set that Thailand is saying, this land is ours now. This is where the border is. Okay. Unilaterally. That hasn't been decided by the Joint Border Commission. But what they've done is they've put these containers where Cambodian houses and villages are now on the Thai side. And they're not letting Cambodians get back to their houses to get their belongings. What they're doing is they're taking all the belongings. Not only are they taking things, but they're just rampaging and destroying things. And how do we know this? Because they're posting the videos themselves of them doing it. So I want to show you some of that so you know what I'm talking about. Okay. And so this is a news channel that I watch. The show is in English. I have posted a link to this in the description, so you can go watch the whole thing and listen to what the newscaster has to say. I'm going to mute it because he's pretty fiery, and I want to be able to make commentary on what you're seeing, because he's just talking about the situation. He's not actually talking specifically about the images. They're just kind of playing in the background as he's speaking. Okay, but if you want to hear what he has to say, then please go to the link and see it. So this is a Thai soldier. He's pointing at this house that has been destroyed, but we're gonna see more. So there is some roof left. This is a picture of the king, the Cambodian king, which they've let fall on the ground and broken. You can see the devastation of this village, which is now occupied by Thai soldiers. I mean, so this is probably from aerial bombs. Oh, and by the way, when they put up these containers, there was a herd of elephants that was migrating and trying to get through. Like, they blocked the path of these migrating elephants. It was so sad. I don't have any images of that. I just read about it. So here they're look, he's got him like a machete, and they're just playing around in those scooters. But they're getting practice on, no. Okay, so let me explain. This is basically a gateway to a village. They're all over Cambodia. It's not a temple. It doesn't mean there's a pagoda. It means that there's a village. And so when you go through the gate, then you're in a particular village. All right. And you can, and this looks like a school. And you can see soldiers in the background. But the destruction is just incredible. I don't know what this is in the road. So look, family record. They're bragging about, now this is a copy of someone's family record book. And you know how in the United States, if you want to go get a driver's license or something like this, you always have to have a certified copy of your birth certificate, right? That's your record of who you are. It can't be copies or anything. You've got to get that certified copy with the embossing in it, right? And so the family record book is what was issued after the Khmer Rouge, because they didn't have any documents, but they had 3 million people. And so everybody recorded who was in their family, when the best they could, if they didn't know the exact day they were born, because sometimes people just know, like, oh, I'm the year of the horse or the year of the rabbit or whatever. And, so they would just pick a month and a day. Or maybe they knew the month, because a lot of people got named the month that they were born in. So they might have known the month and the year by the animal. But then they would just pick a day, because they didn't actually know what day. And everything would be recorded in this family record book. And so going forward, everybody's got to be put in the family record book. And if you want to get a passport or an ID or anything like that, you've got to take the family record book to the government office and show it to them. So it's very, very central ID papers. And so they've just been rummaging through everybody's stuff, and they're bragging about it and they're laughing about it. Look, there's an ID card. They're laughing. It's not funny. And so then this is like a guy dressed up in women's clothing that they found. Oh, ha, ha, ha. I've even heard they're dressing up in women's underwear. I haven't seen that. This is Priya Vihir Temple. And this part here is very iconic. And it's gone now. It's gone. I still have a hard time wrapping my head around the fact that they've destroyed this ancient temple. But this is just some footage of when they were bombing it. And maybe this is also gas. I don't know if it's just dust from a bomb, but look how white it is. I think that's gas. So here they are on somebody's wagon, and they're taking, this is all stuff that they've looted from somebody's house. Oh, good for you, looting, right? They're bragging about it. And that's farm equipment that they're stealing. And I think that this is up at Priva here, but I'm not sure. I'm not 100% sure. It looks like there's been restoration done, that there had been restoration work done on this. Yeah, and look at this big Buddha that they knocked over. Here's a motorcycle that he's stealing. You know, and he's going to brag with the license plate. Oh, like, look at the license plate. It's a Cambodian, this is a Cambodian motorcycle that I'm stealing. They're taking dishes, they're taking, now I don't know if that's real money or if that's like, you know, they have like this fake printed money that that they use for offerings that they'll burn, because it's like if you burn the money, you're sending it to your ancestors that have died, kind of thing. So they do have like fake money, but yeah, look at how they've just destroyed everything. I guarantee you the Cambodians that live there, now that's like the former prime minister, Hun Sen, and his wife Bon Rani, that's on a water bottle, and he's like just showing disrespect by kicking it. You know, oh wow, good for you. And by the way, that was, it looks like they've stolen Cambodian uniforms. And here they are, they're putting up a flag at this place. This is like a government administration building. They're giving the finger, you know, oh, you guys are so smart. And so he found a chroma, and so he's wrapped himself with the chroma, pretending like they're dancing and partying while they're looting. You know, oh my goodness, aren't they wonderful? Okay, I'm gonna move over to this tab because it really shows more of the looting going on. Let me put it on silent as well. Just in case you want to see the whole thing, here is the link. So these are Thai soldiers. They're ransacking this house. You know, you can, when they're done with this house, it's going to look like the other ones that we saw. Because it's not enough to just take the things they want, they destroy the rest of it. Now, oops. This is a safe. So obviously, because you got to understand that a lot of Cambodians, they don't trust banks. The banks have been building a lot of confidence over the years. But like when I first moved here, they didn't trust banks because in the past, when they had money in the banks would fail and they'd lose their money, right? They don't have the FDIC like in America. And so people buying safes and having a safe in your house is very, very common. And not only will you have cash and let's say documents or something, you'll have gold, you'll have jewels, because jewels are gold and jewels are very common in Cambodia because they're mined here. Okay. And so those might be in the safe, and they busted open the safe. Let me keep it going. It goes, this is from upstairs, but he's going to go downstairs. And this news broadcast, if you see, there's the safe. They've got the safe open. It's empty now. They're going through each province and telling how many schools were, closed and this and that. So here's somebody's shop where they used to sell things, and they're just kicking everything over. They're not even taking it. They're just destroying things. For what? So this is the behavior that's been going on for the last few days and is continuing now. All right. So I think you've seen enough to get an idea of what is happening. And I think that Cambodians are obviously upset. Imagine if you see your house or your business that they're doing this to, and you have no way to stop it, because the bombs were happening and people just fled with maybe a bag or two if they were lucky. I hope people took their pets. I don't even know if they took their pets. I know some did, but a lot of livestock and things like this they couldn't take, and the fighting was for 20 days. So I don't even know how much livestock, or if someone had a chicken farm or something, how many animals survived. I don't know, especially if there was gases with the gases that they were bombing. Not only domestic animals, but wild animals. Anyway, so that's the update. I'll leave that part there. Let's get back to stories of what it's like to live in Cambodia. So now everything is like super modern in the big cities. Okay. And every province has a capital city, capital of the province. That city is usually the name of the province. So Battambang province, the capital city is Battambang. Siem Reap province, the capital city is Siem Reap. Okay. They might have movie theaters. They might have, will have supermarkets. Every capital city in the provinces usually is the most developed of the province. But otherwise, it's still a very agrarian society. Okay. But Phnom Penh, everything modern is here. And even they've been able to leapfrog into digital technologies. So when you go shopping, very rarely are people using cash anymore. Everybody's got their cell phone and they scan QR codes. And so that's what people do. And the digital technologies are really progressing fast here because they don't have a lot of the older infrastructure holding them back. But one story, when I first moved to Cambodia, that's kind of funny. There was this little bar called Broken Bricks. And it was run by an English guy from the UK. And his name was Dave. And he had another place called Peace Pub. So he'd been here for a long time by that point. Now, unfortunately, he did use drugs and was a little bit of a seedy character, but that was kind of normal, in Cambodia at the time, that you'd have these seedy characters around. And he was also very smart and very intelligent. And he had interesting people that would come into Broken Bricks. And so I would hang out there frequently. and for conversation and stuff. I wasn't really drinking other than like, water or juice or something. And so one day I'm sitting at the bar, and it's just like a narrow, it's one of these shop houses, what we call shop houses. And so it's narrow, and in the back is where the bar is. And Dave had gone, like to the bathroom or something, right? He disappeared for a second, but I'm in the middle of conversation. And these, I think it was 3 guys come in, and these were like Russian mafia guys. All right. And you could just tell by looking at them that it was trouble. Mid-sentence, I just got up off my stool. I didn't even say goodbye. I didn't say a word. I got up off my stool, grabbed I think I had a backpack, grabbed my bag, and put my head down to the floor. I did not want any eye contact, to be like, oh, she saw us. There's a witness. We have to get rid of her kind of thing. I was like, no, I put my head down and just like, walked right out the door without looking back. Come to find out later that Dave owed these guys money. All right. And they came in looking for him, but I don't know if he had a phone call or something. He had some kind of warning, and that's why he had disappeared, and he had like gone upstairs and hid until they finally left. Right. And so you would have stuff like that happen, which was interesting. Stuff like that doesn't really, well, at least not in Phnom Penh, not in the because this was like on the riverside touristy area, right? If you have something like that happening, it's going to be down in Sihanoukville. It's more likely going to be Chinese rather than Russian. But it would be Chinese on Chinese, and they usually stay in places that are their own places, right? So you've got some Chinese person running a restaurant, and, then a Chinese customer owes somebody money, and someone comes and kidnaps them or whatever, or beats them up or something, rarely, but you do have stuff like that happens, but it's not widespread. It's not outside of their own community, Yeah. What are some funny stuff? Maybe try to think of some funny stories or something I can do. Do you have any questions? I hear my dogs barking. There's a video going around right now of a guy that was at Angkor Wat, and I guess he got in a fight with somebody. I did watch his video, and then I've watched people commenting on his video. But I believe he's American, but he might live in Thailand. And he was visiting Angkor Wat and got into a fight with a Russian guy. And he was all upset that, like, saying that the police didn't help him, and the police basically cornered him into an apology, like, to the Cambodian people, that he had been in a fight. And he was not happy with the police, with the way the police handled everything. And I went ahead and commented that, hey, sorry that this happened to you, but I've lived here 18 years and I've actually had really good experiences with the police. I haven't had any bad experiences. They are very slow and very meticulous. So they'll write everything down like in a report and then do it in triplicate by hand. And when you do go to the police, you have to have a lot of patience because it's going to take a long time. There's nothing speedy about it. And they have their system, they have their policies that they've got to have this written and that written and take pictures and this and that. And it's very tedious. It's very tedious to go to the police. But I haven't had any bad experiences. In fact, most of the time, as when I was doing the true crime in Cambodia, they try to resolve things without an actual arrest, as in being charged and put and sent to jail. They try to do re-education or writing a letter of apology. We've seen some of the young gangsters, they'll shave their hair, you know. And so they try to resolve issues, whether that it may involve restitution. If you've damaged something of somebody else, then you need to pay for the damage. So the courts don't get as bogged down as they do in America, you know. So there's that. Plenty of grocery stores. I'm going to go grocery shopping tomorrow, maybe spend about $25 or so. So maybe when I get home in the daytime, like around noon my time, which would probably be around midnight, I might do a live stream and let you guys see what I got for the amount of money. Might do that in addition to my normal same bat time, same bat channel. Well, if you guys don't have any questions for me right now during the live, then I guess I'll go ahead and end this one. And you can still, if you're watching this on replay, you can still have comments. Well, you can write questions in the comments. But tomorrow I'll be back for trivia. Maybe we'll do another movie trivia. Oh, that's right. I was thinking doing a TV trivia that Mad Mardigan has. We'll see how we do. And maybe I'll have 2 lined up just in case it's boring or something. Then we can just switch over to something else. So that's it for today, I think. Just don't forget that love transcends time and space. So wherever and whenever you're watching this, I love you. And I thank you for joining me today. And until the next one, I'll catch you later.